Welcome. You're watching BQ Prime. I'm Tamanna Inamdar. And as we look at Q2 numbers, let's take a look at Bharat Forge. Their numbers have come out just a short while ago, and the street seems to be cheering what looks like a stellar set of numbers. Q2 FY24 consolidated has seen revenues up 22.7, nearly 23% at 3,774 crores. EBITDA up about 44% at 621 crores, and margins at 16.5%. Reported profits are up about 52%. Now, while we go into the highlights, I also have with me Amit Kalyani, Joint MD of Bharat Forge. Amit, welcome and thank you for speaking with us today on BQ Prime. Great to have you on the show. What's been working this quarter? What do you think has worked, especially when it comes to your profits looking quite robust?
So Tamanna, we always follow a strategic outlook and a strategic plan. We made a strategy for creating an industrial business. We created a strategy for focusing on our passenger car business. We then incubated a defense business, and we focused on a aerospace business. Now, out of all these, the industrial, the passenger car, and the defense have already started firing, and the aerospace has started growing very substantially. And we expect that these verticals will continue growing and will drive our growth going forward. In the industrial side, we've also added a whole new platform of castings to our forging business. That itself is a large new growth avenue and opportunity for us. So that will continue to grow. In the forging side on industrial, we have developed a lot of new products. On the defense side, we are now starting to encash the businesses and the products that we have developed. We have an order book now of over 3,000 crores and growing. And this is all exports. And we expect that our business, both on automotive, commercial vehicles, passenger cars, industrial, aerospace, defense, will all continue growing. We are incubating our EV business, which is also showing a lot of promise. We have a lot of proprietary products that we have developed. We've also won a lot of business for EV in this quarter. We won new business in this quarter. So I think the momentum of creating a platform, creating the right product capabilities, and connecting with our customers to show our capability and our credibility and our strength is really paying off in terms of new business.
So let's go through a bit of detail of those verticals. Let me start with PVs, passenger vehicles, 39% growth. Clearly, that is one cylinder that has been firing. Can you give us some color, some outlook on what segments are working? Is most of this export? Which markets?
So the largest part of our PV business is exports. We have also won new business from domestic PV companies, which will start in the next few quarters and some of it in the next new year, including products for electric vehicles, both for exports as well as India. So PV is definitely a growth area and a growth opportunity, and we expect that to do quite well.
What markets are seeing the biggest boost, and how much of your PV business is exports?
I would say roughly about 70% of our PV business is exports, and it's from US, Europe, Asia, South America, all over the place.
So when I talk about US and Europe, you mentioned in your investor presentation that Europe has had a seasonally bad quarter or a tough quarter. But is your outlook looking hampered? Is there any headwind from the demand situation in the US, for example? Are you seeing any troubling signs at all? Any impact of increased interest rates, fears of an ongoing recession? Are you seeing any of those signs on ground?
So talking about Europe first, the quarter that just finished was the quarter where you have your summer break. So many OEMs and tier ones all take shutdowns. So their shutdowns are typically anywhere from 3 to 6 weeks. So that is why it's a weak quarter. In the rest of the year, we expect the business to be back to normal as it stands today now, notwithstanding anything else. In the US, we are seeing a demand of about 15 million passenger cars. In fact, the demand has been scaled up from what we had in August, where we had talked about 14.3. Now, this is according to ACS and a lot of these polling agencies which talk to the dealers, which talk to the OEMs and other people. So it seems to be okay. But quite clearly, if you look at the housing market, you're getting a very confusing view. Some markets are down, some markets are coming back. So I don't know exactly where that stands. But undoubtedly, there will be some impact going forward. But we are a small portion of the market that we supply. So I think we are okay.
Okay, one clearly recession-proof business is the defense segment, which has been seeing good numbers as well. You're talking about a 3,000 crore order book over 24 months. Any details you can add there? Are these largely export? Is any of this India?
So out of the 3,000
crore,
so 3,000 crores that I've talked about is all the new businesses that we've won in the last, let's say 6-8 months. Those are all exports. We have one business in India, which is for our protected vehicles. And then we have the big ATAX tender, which is now underway, where, the tenders will open and, we'll have our conclusion pretty soon. So, we are supplying right from components, systems, and platforms across geographies globally, and we see increasing traction and demand for these platforms and systems across the world now.
How much of this is being fueled by geopolitical unrest that we're seeing currently? I just want to get a picture.
See, Tamanna, please understand that the big order that we got was even before the recent Middle Eastern crisis happened.
Right.
And it's not that something happens on the 7th of October and 7th of November, you have a big opportunity. It does take time. So clearly these seeds were sown quite some time back. And, I think the outreach from the government of India to create an awareness about Indian capability, introducing Indian companies to potential vendors, to potential customers is really been commendable. And that's really what's helping Indian companies grow exports and go from being purely an importing nation to now an exporting nation. And hopefully in a few years, that should really become a big export category for India.
No, you're right to say that, of course, the Middle East crisis, one would say, has started on 7th November, and we have to see how far that goes. But there is another ongoing confrontation on for about 15 months to 2 years now, almost.
Oh, undoubtedly. I mean,
what has been the spillover of that? Is that, countries want to beef up their defenses when you have something like this happening in the world. Is that helping?
So one is countries want to beef up their defenses. Second is countries choose to either buy or not buy from people who are involved in such conflicts. So, there's also new sourcing opportunities or new sourcing options that people look at. So it's a number of these factors, but undoubtedly that has led to some amount of tailwinds for our defense exports.
Another factor, I think, which would be interesting to understand is, we've been talking about the China plus one kind of world. What kind of opportunity does that present for a Bharat Forge?
Tremendous. So it presents opportunities across sectors, across products, across capabilities, and across geographies. In fact, we are now getting business from sectors that you would not even imagine are related to our industry. I'm not going to talk more about it right now because it's still WIP, but it's quite remarkable what can happen when a fresh set of eyes looks at sourcing from a zero base, and I think what's possible is quite remarkable.
I know, I think you've preempted my detailed question by saying you can't talk about it, but is there an outlook you can give us? If we're looking at 3,000 crores in the next 24 months, do you have an internal goal of how much that can be scaled?
So look, the idea is that we are setting up large facilities. And I think we want to create a steady state business first, go beyond the 1,000-1,500 crore per year to a 2,000 crore per year kind of business, and then scale it up from there.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Kalyani, for joining us and giving us as much detail as you possibly could. Pleasure speaking with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wishing a very happy Diwali and a prosperous new year to all the viewers and subscribers of BQ Prime. May you have a fantastic year ahead.